Hello! So, two more rounds left to go. If you haven't watched the previous three games in this Congress, I'm currently, well, go watch them, because I'm about to spoilers. I'm currently on 2.5 out of 3. I won my first game against an 1800, drew my second game against a 2250, and beat another 1800 in my third round game. So, now, I said in my last round game, on 1.5 out of 2, in theoretically, I'm quite lucky to get paired against an 1800. This match makes up for that. 2.5 points out of 3, you're not getting an easy pairing on 2.5 out of 3. I get paired against a FIDE master, who is 2200 FIDE still, and 2300 plus ECF. They're a very, very strong player, and I have the black pieces, and yeah, let's get on with the game. So, I say in every single video I've done a bit of prep. I've done a bit of prep for all my games. I'm just generally a reasonably well-prepared person. Well, I say that, just you wait till we look at my last round game. But, so, and all my friends will vouch for me on this. I said the day before the game, I just have a feeling this guy's going to play the Trumpowski against me. And I can get up their chess tempo. They're a very strong player, and when you get to this level, you play everything. Like, this guy's played e4. Like, I was looking through their opening repertoire, and they've played e4, d4, b3, knight c3, knight f3. Like, they've played everything twice at least. So, and more. I think they had a couple of games in g4. I was like, okay, I'm not going to prepare for that. But yeah, the most common openings that I was expecting were the Joe Barber London, which is the London with this knight on c3, and the Trumpowski. And I said the day before, I'm convinced I'm going to get a Trumpowski in this game. Lo and behold, I get a Trumpowski in this game, which is kind of a funny prediction, just because there are so many things that he could have played, and of course, his two main openings as white are Joe Barber London and Trumpowski, so it wasn't like a crazy guess. I mean, probably like slightly less than 50-50, but it was kind of funny. My prediction record with being able to sort of predict what my opponent's going to play is really good, weirdly. So my line that I've played against the Trumpowski quite a lot, I've not studied it properly because I've just always had a very good record with it. It's kind of weird. I've played it like... Okay, going into this game, I've played the Trumpowski like 4 times, and I think I've drawn one of those games from a much better position out of the opening. So I'm like, I don't know, I didn't feel like I desperately needed to study this in much depth. I double-checked my line before this game, but yeah, I just went for what I've normally played, which is c5. And basically the point of c5 is I want a Benoni-type structure, and I'm just saying that this bishop to g5 move isn't the most useful move in response to this. And my opponent obliges. They give me my Benoni-type structure, they go d5, and I play probably what's not considered one of the most critical lines. I go d6. And this is totally reasonable variation. I think that most of the more critical stuff involves like queen b6, and there are a bunch of lines where you like take this poison pawn on b2, but it's okay for black, but it's also okay for white, and it's very, very complicated, very, very tricky. But I just like to play these lines a little slower, because I play for h6. And I'm just going to play g6. If they take, I'm going to take back with the e-pawn, I'm going to put my bishop on g7. And like I say, I'm just going to play this like a Benoni. But actually, one of the things I quite like about this is with the double f-pawns, that you often want to play e4 in the Benoni. But because I've got the double f-pawns, at some point it's quite a useful pawn break to actually be able to play f5. And I still maintain all of the structure around my king. Additionally, they have no bishop to fight against my good bishop if they trade on g2. If they trade on f6. So my good bishop on g7 is just going to be very happy. And these are like totally sound according to the engine. So I'm like, if I can get a good Benoni structure, I will. So most of the time in this position, The top moves are bishop back to c1 or take you on f6. Both of these moves I have quite a lot of experience with and I'm pretty comfortable with. But already on move like 5, is this move 5? I don't know, I can't remember, it doesn't matter. My opponent makes a really odd decision, I felt. They go back to h4, bishop to h4. And I hadn't checked this was not something I had prepared, this was not something I saw in the database, like, full stop. And I was really confused, because in my head I was like, I don't see why I can't just play g5 and get this, the same achievement that I would have gotten from getting g6, which is that I now have access to g7 for my bishop, but I get to do it in one move. So, yeah, I assumed that this was... No, I assumed that this wasn't bad. I assumed that it was, like, a reasonable option, because my opponent's usually very well prepared. But I assumed it was inaccurate. I did assume it was inaccurate. But I thought it was intentionally an inaccurate move. I thought they were trying to get me out of theory. Just, they're technically the higher rated player. They're technically the stronger player. Like, they just want to play chess. They don't want to get into a big, long theoretical battle. But I did think that this was inaccurate, and I thought that the critical response was to go g5, which of course opens potentially my king side a bit, but I thought that this was actually totally fine for me, because after I force back the bishop to g3, now I get in another idea, which is very common in these variations, which I just think becomes significantly more dangerous with my ability to move the g5 pawn with tempo by hitting the bishop, and that move is b5. And this is a pure pawn sacrifice, by the way. Like, you can totally take that. I'm going to go queen a5, knight back, and I'm going to go bishop g7 with no immediate attempts to win the pawn back. But I just thought that my compensation in that position was unbelievably dangerous. I thought I've got threats of knight e4. I've got very simple lines in which I just develop my knight and apply pressure on the open b file, and I just have a huge lead in development. I thought that that was a really, really dangerous thing to go for, and my opponent agreed, and I think the engine agrees as well, or I think it will. We'll see at the end. So my opponent goes f3, and they're just trying to make some breathing room for their bishop and prevent all of these knight e4 ideas that become quite dangerous. But this allows my pawn to live on, so I let it keep running, grabbing space on the queen side and forcing their knight back to b1. And the thing is, it's like, I already loved my position. I think I'm doing fantastically well here. I play bishop g7, get my bishop on the open diagonal. I've got so much space on the queen side. I've got a lead in development. I can get my king to safety if I want. Like, I'm not even sure what my opponent's playing for. They go e4, because I think it's basically the only move. But now I go knight h5, and I'm threatening to trade off their one developed piece. I've got my bishop on this long open diagonal. Keep in mind, this one developed piece has moved 1, 2, 3 times to get there already as well. So if I take that, then they've literally done no development this whole game. They go queen c1, and I just take it. I snap off the piece. I've got this beautiful bishop on this nice long open diagonal, supported by all this pawn, all these pawns, all this space on the queen side, and I'm not sure what my opponent's compensation was in this position. I felt like I was much better. I felt like I had like a dream Benoni, but also my opponent had just sort of walked into this line. They're generally quite well prepared, so I was just a little bit confused as well. Additionally, it's just kind of funny that it's move 11, and all of my opponent's pieces are still on the back rank. Of course, I've not developed much myself, but it's quite funny still. But yeah, so I just keep playing chess. I go e6. This is a common idea in these structures, just sort of to try and undermine their stronger center. And they go bishop to c4, just trying to support their center. And I think that my next move is a slight mistake. I was thinking that now they've spent a move with that bishop, I can offer a trade of bishops. And if they take, I get to reroute my knight round to c7, which is a square that this piece often wants to be on. Then I've got ideas of taking, going queen f6, applying pressure here, and applying pressure to the center. I think I should play this, just take it more simply. I think I should just castle, get my king to safety. I don't think that I desperately want this trade, because looking at it again, one of my friends pointed this out to me after the game as well, like not just saying this on my perspective, but this bishop is not a good piece. This bishop is not well placed. So there's no reason to be looking to trade it off immediately. But I do, and I'm like, if they take, then I get my lead in development, or I get my development with the tempo, and I'm doing okay. My opponent doesn't want to give me that development, so they go knight d2. I don't want to take immediately, because then I'm just sort of helping their development, so I just play bishop to queen to f6, asking what they're going to do about this b2 pawn, just simply threatening to win a pawn. They defend it, and I castle. Get the king to safety. By the way, if anyone's curious, they can take here at any point, but then I can just recapture, and I've got all the central pawns, and that just looks really, really dangerous. I've got the half open file to apply pressure across, and I'm just going to develop my pieces. Well, I'll probably have to trade off first, but I'm just going to develop my pieces, bring my rooks to the center, blow open the center, and should be able to hopefully take advantage of their weak king. So they go knight e2, potentially hoping to castle, but more importantly, you've just got to develop your pieces at this point. And now, yeah, I decided I want to develop my knight to d7 actually now. So, yeah, this is probably slightly inaccurate. I probably should have just developed my bishop to b7 immediately, but I trade on c4, knight takes c4, I trade in the center so that my queen can defend d6, and I bring my rook to the open file so that they can't castle. Not that they necessarily want to castle, but... And they've still got ideas, of course, like queen d2 and then just castling. But it all feels very slow, and I've got ideas like knight d7 and knight b6. The idea is to either trade off this pawn and ruin their pawn structure if they defend, or if they take, I take, and then I'm applying pressure along the half-open a file. I'm threatening to win this pawn, I'm threatening to win this pawn, and my knight, I think, is just much, much better than their pieces currently. So they slide their king out of the way of the pin, avoiding some ideas of potentially like queen e7 that's potentially strong. And I just develop my pieces, just nice and simple, knight b to d7. Sorry, I don't know why I say knight b to d7, that's the only knight I have. But yeah, knight to d7, and they bring their queen up to d2, keeping this defended, keeping another eye on d4 pawn. And I think that this is probably my mistake this game. And you'll see why next move. I go rook e7, and my point is I'm just trying to double my rook, so I want to bring my other rook over. And I mean, I don't think this is a bad move, but I think it's just a little slow. And you'll see why very soon, because after g4, I now go rook e4. And I've just basically wasted a full move by playing rook e7 and then rook e4. I think I should have just gone very simply just rook e4 in one move. And I think this is borderline winning, because I'm threatening to win this. Let's say that they go b3 to defend it. Now I get this, and I'm up. I've just got an absolutely beautiful position. I mean, they've got to play something like maybe, yeah, rook e1, and now I can already look at just simply trying to trade off and convert my positional advantage. I've got the full open file, and basically what happens is I get a version of that in the game, but just there's no reason for me to be playing it a tempo down. So yeah, I go rook e7, and now they go g4, and now I go rook e4. And yeah, as you can see, I've just simply wasted a tempo, but at the same time, I'm hitting this knight, I'm hitting this pawn, and I'm hoping to win some material, gain some concrete edge. Now, they go to b3, just defending, and I play knight to b6. And my hope is that they'll take, and this a-pawn is going to be forever weak, and I'm super, super comfortable with that position. They don't, they defend with their queen, and I bring my other rook along to the open a-file. I was calculating a lot of things here, like, I was trying to figure out if there were some lines where knight g3, knight h5 were possible. Because I was looking at this, I was looking at knight g3, rook takes g4, knight to h5, and I have to move my queen out of the way of the pin so they can potentially win this. So, sorry if I'm remembering that correctly. Wait, because I might have this move in that sequence. Yeah, I think I'm okay. I think that's why I decided this was okay for me. I didn't know if knight g3 was better, but it looked very dangerous, so I wasn't surprised that they went rook h1. And now here, realistically, I should... well, actually, no, the trade is good, but realistically, I should maintain my position. I should just start pushing my pawns. If I can get my pawn to a3, then the issue is that's just going to be a permanent thorn for my opponent. And the issue is they have no real ways of particularly improving their position. Like, let's say that they move this knight, I trade off everything, and the end game is just simply far, far superior for the black pieces, because my pawn structure is just so much better. Maybe. Actually, it's a little complicated. Maybe I need to keep one of the sets of rooks on the board. But that's what I was assuming. Sorry, no. I mean, I thought that potentially those lines looked a little drearish. I thought I needed something concrete, so I ended up capturing on g4 and winning a pawn. Now, the sequence you're about to see, I had calculated, I had looked at, and I decided it was good for me. I wasn't totally sure in the game. Of course, when I turn on the evaluation and you're looking at it with the engine, you're going to know if I was like a genius or an idiot. But, yeah, during the game, I assumed it was good for me, but it's really, really hard to calculate all of the lines, and there are many lines where I'm sacrificing an exchange here, because my opponent goes king to g1, and the thing is, my rook has to go to h4, no other option. And then after g3, I thought I could include rook h3, king g2, but I thought there was no particular reason to do that, so I just went straight to h5. We get g4, rook h4, and knight g3. And this is what I'm talking about. They're already threatening to win the exchange with a move like knight f5. But I thought that I was okay here, because I play the move rook to e5. And my thinking was, if you're going to play knight to f5, I think I can just take it. And I think that endgame is just good for me, because let's say you take back with the pawn, I can trade queens, and then I can just go pawn grabbing, and I think that my pawn structure is just going to be superior. I'm going to create some passed pawns and win, and the dark squares are so weak, and actually it's really hard to break through. Like, let's say that we get that kind of variation, we get takes, check, takes, check. Let's say that the king moves to g2, and I place my rook on my bishop on e5. The thing is, there's nothing they can do to stop me from winning at least the c pawn, and then even then I can come back for one of the f pawns at the very least. So I'm not even going to be down material, and my bishop in the center is just going to be completely blocking off any access for their rooks, unless they can make a rook takes e5 sacrifice work and try and promote the d pawn. So of course it's impossible to calculate all this, but I was trying to evaluate it as good, and my opponent agrees. My opponent goes rook to e4, and now I'm very happy, because now I can simply trade, and here I'd seen this really, really nice move. If you want to pause it and have a look at it, have a look at the position, try and find the move I played, I find this move, bishop to e5. And I think this is a really, really critical move, because now, all of a sudden, you cannot move this knight anywhere. Anywhere you move this knight, I have rook oh, well, okay, you can move it back to f1, but what does that achieve? But anywhere else you move it, I have rook h2, I'm picking up all of these pawns, and that position is completely winning. And now, all of a sudden, my position is really, really comfortable to play, because my rook's not getting trapped, and I've still got all of the positional advantages. So my opponent goes rook to e1, and now, yet again, I find what I think is a really nice move. We'll check it with the engine afterwards, but I find this move h5, and the point is that if they take with the pawn, I'm taking on c4, I'm taking on c2, yet again creating those passed pawns, and I'm doing much, much better. If they take with a knight, same thing, rook h2, I'm coming across to c2. Now there are some definitely complicated lines here with the idea rook takes e5, which me and my opponent both looked at a bit, and I think that there are a couple of complications here. Like, I'd calculated, d takes e5 is forced. Now, if they go immediately for the move d6, what was my move here? Takes. No, I have to bring my king over. And now, after a move like, here I was calculating knight to f5, takes on g4, knight takes h4, oh wait, no, sorry, because if they go d7, oh wait, can I do that? Wait, I'm trying to remember the line. Wait, takes, d7, looks like that's just promoting. Takes, and I can't come here. Can I go there? Wait. Sorry, these lines are so complicated. I'm trying to remember what I'd calculated when I was looking at this. Yeah, so takes, d6. Yeah, d6 I take here first. And actually, yeah. Sorry, that's what I'd calculated in the game. And the point is, d7 I take here with check, importantly, and after king takes back, I have rook to d4, and I cover the promotion square. Yeah, sorry, that is what I had calculated. After that sequence, h takes g4. Yeah, and if knight to f5 here, I can throw in the check, I think. I don't think there's any harm in that. And then I have rook to h8 was the move. And the point is that after d7, king h7 covers the d8 square, which is quite a tricky kind of idea to see, but it works out just in time. And then if after takes they go knight to f5 immediately, here I think I have takes on g4. If they push the pawn, I have rook back to h8, and yet again same idea of king h7 to get out of the way. So takes. Oh, sorry, no, so they can't take. Oh yeah, sorry, takes. I have to take on e4. Yes, yeah, and the point is that takes, I have e5, and these are called bridesmaids in chess when you've got pawns just a little bit too far apart that they can't actually cover both of them. So let's say that they walk towards my h-pawn and try and grab this guy. I can push, run through with my e-pawn, and they can't at any point actually capture this because I'm just a little bit too fast. And if they come after the f-pawn, yet again, we push, and at any point if they take either pawn, as long as the other pawn has kept pushing forward and they're in line, there's no way that you can win both. And at any point if they push the d-pawn, I can just bring my king over to deal with that. That's no particular bother. So yeah, those are the lines I calculated. And yes, I'm a bit fortunate that all the lines have worked out, but at the same time, if you play good chess, you get rewarded by the tactics working out in your favour. So my opponent sees that they can't go for that, and they go for rook to e4, but this is just a really... I mean, it's not a bad move, but it's just fatal, because I can trade on g4, you can't take back with the rook, because then I trade everything, and I'm simply up a pawn and in a superior pawn endgame, king and pawn endgame. So they take back with the pawn, and now I just play this really nice, simple move, king to f8, and I'm covering everything. And I was really, really proud of this game, because in this position, my opponent just simply chooses to resign. And if you look at the position, it's because they're in Zugzwang. They have no good moves. If they move their king away from the knight, if they move their king away from the knight, then I can simply win the knight. So, sorry, they can't move the king away from the knight. If they move the king to f2, then I have rook h2. If they move the king to f3, I have king h3. You cannot move the rook anywhere, because I grab on g4, and then I'm going to win c4, or I'm going to win the knight, and you can't move the knight anywhere other than f1, because I have rook h2, and yet again, f1 just doesn't improve your position. I have a move like bishop f4, and I'm just going to be winning the g-pawn. Or if you defend, then yet again I have ideas of h3, rook round to c3, and I'm going to win the c-pawns and wander through with my a-pawn. So the issue is, and actually, even if they do this, there's still nothing that they can actually do with that knight, so I can also just totally play a5, a4, a3. So yeah, that's why in this position my opponent just simply chooses to resign. You can't move the rook, you can't move the knight anywhere productive, you can't move the king anywhere productive, and you literally have no pawn moves that just don't immediately get captured. I was really, really proud of this game, actually. Firstly, because it's my highest rated win ever. A win against a 2300 with the black 2300 plus with the black pieces. Super, super happy. And it's fantastic for my tournament standings. I'm now on 3.5 out of 4 going into the last round. There are 3 of us on 3.5 out of 4, and I end up playing one of my good friends in the last round, and they actually have agreed to analyse the game with me, so what you've got to see the last round to see how I do in the tournament, and also to see how they do in the tournament. But yeah, so 3 of us on 3.5, and 1 person, who's a grandmaster, Danny Gormally, is on 4 out of 4. So we're all just half a point behind, but still, this tournament could go in a lot of directions. So yeah, let's just have a quick check of the engine analysis of this game. Yeah, so we get a Trumpowski, and yeah, the engine wants one of the solid lines with D5, but I choose to go for this C5 variation, which it's just a choice of opening, it's totally reasonable. We get D4, D6, C3, yeah, and here, okay, it's recommending, no, it is recommending bishop C1 and bishop to F6, but yeah, it really, really doesn't like this move. It really doesn't like this move, and actually for the exact reason that happens in the game. We get G5, bishop G3, B5, okay, this is really nice to see that it all works out, and yeah, wait, so after takes, knight C3. Oh, it's not even bishop G7 it wants. I mean, bishop G7 is totally fine, but I also have the move just knight E4 immediately. And actually there's just nothing productive you can do. And if you take, then wow. I'm just up a clean exchange, and you have no king safety. So wow, yeah. So yeah, you just simply cannot take the pawn in this position. We get F3, and now B4, nice. This is all looking okay, yeah. Knight H5 is the best move. Yeah, all of these are roughly the same, takes. E6 is the best move, yep, just trying to undermine the center. Bishop C4, yeah, and this is a slight mistake. I should just go to B7 and just improve, put bishop on B7 and just improve my position. That's a bit, wait, bishop B7 takes, oh no, queen F6 in the same, oh, it's an even worse problem because that and that are both hanging. Ah, yes, very nice. But instead I go to A6, and this is a slight mistake, but queen F6, applying pressure. Yeah, and defending, yeah, again, is a big issue. No real issues with castling. Actually, okay, it really wants me to take on C4 and take on E4, but no issues with castling, and after knight E2, I finally take advantage of that same opportunity. Rook to E8, king F2. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I've just got such a dominant position out of the opening. I've given them these small opportunities, but all of the small opportunities I've given them, they can only take up on them if they sort of admit some concrete disadvantage. So yeah, knight D7, queen D2. Yeah, and as you can see, oh, actually, no, the engine wants knight E5, but yeah, actually, no, it does want rook E4. And yeah, rook E4 just allows me to do the exact same thing, but with a tempo. So yeah, I assume this, it's a small mistake, but it's nothing major. G4, and now I make up for my crimes. Yeah, they go B3 to defend it, knight B6. Yeah, again, not maybe the best move, but the only way to take advantage of it is to, like, admit this concrete disadvantage, which is hard for humans to do. Actually, knight A5 is the best move. I actually did consider knight A5, but I just didn't believe in it. It looked so offside. But yeah, so we get queen D3, rook AE8, and yeah, just out of interest, what happens after knight G3, as we were discussing before? Yeah, okay. No, this is what I was thinking of. Sorry, yeah, this is what I was thinking of. I wasn't thinking of this because of the idea of knight H5, but I was looking at this in the game, knight H5, and I just have queen to D8, and there's just nothing productive that my opponent can do. Nowhere productive to put any of their pieces. And I'm going to be trading and winning here, or just infiltrating on the dark squares, and that will be enough. Okay, nice. So yeah, they go rook HE1. Yeah, I was trying to figure out these lines because I didn't feel super happy about having to put my queen back on the back rank, but I thought those positions did just look objectively quite good for me as well. So we got knight takes c4, b takes c4, and okay, yeah, like I said, the engine just wants me to go a5, maintain my position, and just improve my piece placement. Yeah, this is a little greedy, but it's also like, I get a concrete edge, I have something tangible, and it's quite important, I think, from a human perspective, to have something tangible that you can hold on to for the long-term advantage, especially given the fact that it really doesn't damage my position too much. And after king g1, yeah, these lines are all totally forced. Knight g3, rook e5. Yeah, and it wants knight e5 from my opponent, but like I said, I think... oh yeah, no, actually, you can't even take. You have to throw in the check first, so that you get to trade queens, but... I mean, even this variation is really... Yeah, my position is just very dominant. I'm going to get to place my bishop on e5, picking up all of these pawns. Yeah, this is just very clearly black is doing well. So my opponent goes for rook e4, but this allows just takes, queen e5, get the trade, and yeah, like I said, very important move, very critical move. I need to find this bishop e5. Idea? Yeah, rook e1 might as well. h4, h5, and yeah, I mean, the engine is actually recommending the line I was discussing with rook e5, but just because I think it's the trickiest option that black has in this position, because yeah, ideas of this, yeah, again, there's only one idea that really ends the game on the spot, but yeah, again, we were discussing these lines before in the analysis, and white's just doing fine. So yeah, takes, and yeah, the longer you leave it, the more uncomfortable. Oh, sorry. Oh, whoa, I didn't mean to do that. Yeah. And the longer I leave, and after the move king f8, just the longer you leave it, the more uncomfortable the engine gets with the position. Like, look at it, it's just constantly flying up and up and up, because there is just, I mean, black is only up a pawn in this position, but there are just actually no moves that white can play in this position. Like, for example, the top engine move here is rook h3, which just immediately loses a knight. Like, okay, you can hold on to it, but you have to give up the exchange, and I mean, this just instantly lets me into an endgame where I'm completely winning as well. Like, I can also just take here. What? I can't? Wow. Oh, because they've got the pass pawn. Okay, but of course I don't need to as well. Like, I can just bring my rook back to h6, and then navigate around to the a6, pick up the pawn, and that's also very comfortable. So yeah, this is my best win in classical chess. So it seems like a very clean game by me. Of course, I'm given this big opportunity in the opening by my opponent with this bishop h4 mistake, but these things happen, and I'm very proud of myself for being able to sort of take advantage of it and prove it against someone who's theoretically a much stronger player than me. So yeah, thanks for the game, and yeah, check out the last video when that comes out. All the best. Merry Christmas.